Producers. With just a few exceptions, all life on Earth depends on the sun's energy for survival. Producers make food for the rest of the ecosystem through the process of photosynthesis, where the energy of the sun is used to convert carbon dioxide and water into glucose. Glucose is a simple sugar that's used as food. Food webs. A food chain is a diagram that shows feeding interactions in an ecosystem through a single pathway. You can see here's a simple food chain of krill being eaten by salmon, a bigger fish, eaten by trout and tuna, bigger fish still, and then eaten by yet a bigger fish, shark, pike, and so on. A food web is a diagram that shows feeding interactions between many organisms in an ecosystem through multiple intersecting pathways. So you see a very complicated food web here. If you click on that diagram of a Lake Michigan food web. At the bottom we have things like microscopic organisms such as algae, which are then eaten by single or multicellular organisms, but still microscopic organisms, which are eaten by smaller fish, which are then eaten by yet bigger fish. So this is a food web that's right in our backyard in Lake Michigan. Predation. Predation happens when a predator, such as a coyote or a wolf, in this example, predation happens when a predator organism feeds on another living organism or organisms, which are known as prey. Predators can be keystone species. A keystone species is one that can have a large effect on the balance of organisms in an ecosystem. So if you move the wolf from this population or from this ecosystem, it can have an effect on the population of the moose or elk or other things in the ecosystem that it eats on, which can then in turn have an effect on what the moose or elk are eating. That would have an effect on those plants. All of those things are connected. Competition. We could have competition when organisms strive for limited resources, perhaps lions and bears fighting over the same resources. Here's our own Michigan version of lions versus bears. And in order for those two species to coexist, they may end up developing what are called specializations, which means they become really good at eating one or two types of food to avoid competition. They might also move out of the area and move into a new area to avoid competition. Symbiosis. Symbiosis describes a close and long-term interaction between different species. There are different types of interactions. There are win-win. Well, as it's implied here, it says, "Hello there, would you like to interact with me? Your ambiguity deeply concerns me." Meaning the smaller fish doesn't realizes that the shark isn't telling him what kind of interaction he has. There are win-win interactions in which both of the organisms benefit from them interacting with each other. There are win-neutral interactions where one wins and it doesn't have a negative or positive effect on the other. And there are win-lose where one organism benefits and the other one loses or ends up having a negative relationship. Those are called mutualism, communalism, excuse my pronunciation, and parasitism.